Would Maharaj talk about the grace of the Guru? It is the intensity of the faith you have in the Guru's words that is most important. Once that is there, the grace flows automatically. The faith in the Guru is based on the consciousness within, faith in oneself, the love for the beingness I am trying to direct to a higher level. What is lasting is this love for the self, on which temples have been built. This Christ consciousness is existing. Is it faith in a man? As a man, Christ was crucified, but that universal consciousness which was his lives today. Is there any means of releasing or elevating this love? That is a vritti, mental modification, that is part of the process. There are various actions, practices, etc. Even in daily life you have certain procedures. Are they not the puja, worship, for this consciousness? Maharaj is talking about the kind of love that transcends consciousness itself. The breeze that comes out of the universal consciousness is what keeps other kinds of love alive. Most people limit their love to an individual. How does one expand into universal love? Understand the faults as faults. That's all you can do. You cannot turn one thing into another. Doesn't love lose its vitality when it loses its object? You are asking from the body level. You are not going back to your state before the body came into existence. Before the word love came into existence, you are. Prior to this identification with the body, you must recede into that. Since I have found my true permanent state, I have no need for any of this, so I'm just waiting for it to go. In that state of fullness, there is no need at all. I have had this state of fullness after I met my Guru. If I hadn't met my Guru, I would have lived and died as a man. My association with my Guru was scarcely for 2.5 years. He was staying some 200 kilometers away. He would come here once every 4 months, for 15 days. This is the fruit of that. The words he gave me touched me very deeply. I abided in one thing only. The words of my Guru are the truth, and he said, "You are the Parabrahman." No more doubts and no more questions on that. Once my Guru conveyed to me what he had to say, I never bothered about other things. I hung on to the words of the Guru. I know exactly what this present state of affairs is, how transient it is, and I also know that eternal state. I have no use for this ephemeral state. Now, when you return to your country, you will go with the qualification of ajnani. Tell me, what meaning do you attach to the word jnani? I think some of the Indians who have been here longer are more qualified. They might talk on it. The present crop of Indians are following the Westerners who have developed so much on the material side. They are not after spirituality. They would like to follow Western scientific development, to imitate you. Because I Am That is certified by Maurice Friedman. They will read it. The books by Gene Dunn will have more significance also. I am not short of any knowledge relating to God or spirituality because I have fully known what this child principle is. When you get to know that ignorant child principle, beingness, you will not fall short of anything in your spiritual or worldly pursuits. Is the world as we see it a thought? It is written in some places that when one sees the world, one does not see the self, and conversely, when one sees the self, one does not see manifestation. The world is nothing but the picture of your own I consciousness, as if you had received a phone call telling you that you are, and immediately the world appears. When you are in deep sleep and you feel that you are awake, the dream world appears simultaneously with the I Am. The world appears in the waking and dream states. Can one see the world without the presence of the ego? When is there an ego? The ego is there when you have certain reactions. You take delivery of whatever is observed spontaneously. You cling to it, register it. Then only is there an ego. You see some building material lying on the road. You think that you are a carpenter and you start figuring out how to use that material. The thought process is started. Ego starts. If you are nobody, you will not bother about the building material. You will just observe it and go your way. Once it is out of your sight, it is out of mind. But when you receive that delivery, you cogitate over it. Ego has started. So when it comes to the utility of what is seen, that's when the ego comes into being? Yes, that is its nature. To get back to my other question, when the world is seen, the self is not. When the self is seen, the world is not. Is that so? It is the other way. When you know that you are, the world is. If you are not, the world is not. Is I the self? I'm talking about the difference between the I am and the thought I am a man, which is the ego. In the I am consciousness, does the world exist? Can you see it? When you wake up, you have only the sense of being without words. This is the primary principle, the prerequisite. Later on, you know fully that you are and the world is. But that is an illusion, like the horns of a hare. The world is like the dream world, finally. Understand this point very thoroughly. You are dealing too much with the ego. Have you understood what was said about the ego? I think I have. If I ask another question, maybe I can resolve it. Using the analogy of the snake and the rope, seeing a rope in a dimly lit place and mistaking it for a snake. If we use the world in that analogy, what is the mistaken identity there? The self is the world. You are talking about removing the identity between the self and the world, aren't you? First of all, dispose of the self. Understand what the self is. Get to know the self first, then get to know what the world is. The reason the world appeared is that you came to know that you are. How can one in a waking state lose the sensation of the world altogether and just be the self? You will have to consult the sun. Ask him, how do you get rid of your light? Light is the manifestation of the sun. Can you separate the light from the sun or the sun from the light? Because of the sun, the light is. Because you are, your world is. Because the witnessing state happens, hence you are. Because you are, witnessing is palpably felt. Because the sun is, light is. If there is no witnessing, where is the witness? Dwell there. The being is the witness. There are two witnessing stages. Beingness witnesses all this manifestation. Witnessing of this beingness, consciousness, happens to that eternal principle, the Absolute. So long as you are interested in this manifest world, you have no time to get to the root. The root is this consciousness which appeared when you were a child. The root of whatever activities you are now doing is that moment, when you were a child. In that child, the most important quality, the chemical, the consciousness, took the photograph. From that moment you started gathering knowledge, and on that your present activities are happening. People are also interested in my words that no one really tries to find out what that child consciousness is. Only when you get established in the consciousness can you know that child consciousness. That is the only way. Child consciousness implies a retrogression as compared to the man consciousness. When in that state, there is no consideration of child or man or consciousness. There is just being. There is no further given direction. There is no difference in the child consciousness and the man consciousness. If the space that fills the small pot is the same as the space that fills the big pot, how to recognize the small pot? The seed of the universe is dimensionless, but because of the body, the consciousness appears and identifies with the body, but actually everything is manifest, all-pervasive consciousness. That I love is manifest. For the whole universe, there is no question of profit or loss. Only when the identification with the body is present does the question arise. When you take food, who is eating? The I amness. The food also contains the I amness. So when you consume it, you retain your I amness. Though the I amness is in the food, nobody identifies with the food. They say, this is my lunch. I am not this. But when it is consumed by them and becomes part of the body, they say, I am the body. That mistake they make. I desire to be in the state of a jnani. You have to know that knowledge I am. Jnani and knowledge are one. Just by being, you have this knowledge? You are already that, but you have to try to understand yourself. You understand by the very essence of your being, so there is no knowledge involved. At the moment, you are identifying with the body, so you do not know that secret. You will come to know gradually when you really become that. If there is only the sense of being in the I am, where do concepts come in? Because of the vital breath, the mind flow is there. Mind means words, so thoughts are there. They are concepts. Look at your root, the child consciousness, and finish it off. The difficulty lies in the fact that all consciousness is identical. So how to get to the root? This consciousness is a tree, but there was a seed. Go to the seed. The consciousness you have now is the same as the child consciousness. Hold on to that. That is enough. So long as the consciousness is there, everything is so important to you. But if that vanishes, then what is the worth of this whole world to you? Who is the knower of the seed? Give attention to how this I amness has appeared. Then you will know. Accept this identification only, that you are this manifest pure beingness, the very soul of the universe, of this life that you observe. And presently you are just wearing this bodily attire. Make a note of it. You have taken down so many things in life. Just for fun, why don't you take this down also and see what happens? See what happens when you look at the moon and know that the moon is there provided you are there. Because you are, the moon is. This grand concept, this joy you directly experience and enjoy. There must be some power which is responsible for this creation. The power is the self, which each one has in his beingness. That power is time-bound. From the time that beingness comes, it creates automatically until that beingness disappears. Earlier, there was nothing. After, there is nothing. It is only during the duration of the beingness that the world and creation is. This power is the faith in the primordial concept I am. And that is the concept which weaves the web of creation. The entire manifestation is an appearance in this concept. When consciousness mixes with itself, that is samadhi. When one doesn't know anything and doesn't even know that he doesn't know anything, that is samadhi. Will the body become rigid? The body becomes still. Later on, there is no realization of the body. When everything is accounted for, that is sahaja samadhi. The sensation of glowing, effervescence, within and without, it provokes a little heat. That is natural. When the 5 elements mix with each other, all kinds of things may take place. The 5 elements express themselves in different fashions through the body at that stage. This is not common to all, but necessarily uniform. Each body will act and react in a different way. Therefore, different saints have different kinds of teachings. The common capital for all is the waking state, sleep state, and the consciousness I am. I did as Maharaj said. I examined the consciousness of a child. Also, I pondered about the seed in the tree, and I have resolved that equation. What remains after those questions have been resolved? Can you do anything about it? No. The seed disappears into a seedling, the seedling into a tree, and eventually the tree disappears. The seed of the child disappears into a teenager, etc. It does not disappear. It is transformed. Now, what remains is Parabrahman. There was the sensation of the son returning to the father. Did that sensation happen inside or outside the source? The parents are the only names given to the source which one always knows. When something is understood, one does not really grasp it until a name is given, and then one says that one has understood. The name is not the thing. Father, mother, and child are 3 in name, but all 3 represent the same thing. What is one only. It is, and the 3 are only names and numbers given to what is basically one thing. The union of Prakriti and Purusha is myself. Prakriti and Purusha are all names. They are not forms. This subject is meant only for those who are seriously interested. The jackfruit is a very big fruit with a thick skin and pointed stickers on the outside. Inside is the fruit, and within that is the seed. One uses the fruit, and the seed which is capable of producing more fruit is there. The human body is the same. What is outside is merely the shell. What one uses is the beingness inside. The seed can be used to reproduce, and the sweetness, she tastes of I am values itself, and wants to continue at any cost. Prior to taking this form, you were formless. Spontaneously the form came, and when the form came, there was a natural longing to return to the formless state. When you want to return to the formless, desireless state, then only you come here to seek what you are. The consciousness has to know the consciousness. When it realizes itself, then only do you return to normal. Has any one of those persons coming here become a jnani? A number of those who have come here have acquired the knowledge, but only superficially. No one has really studied what the knowledge is. No one has really grasped the full meaning. What are they doing now? They are entangled in wanting, desiring, and this has made them forget the knowledge. Very few will get this knowledge correctly and absorb it deeply into their hearts. Once you have understood the origin of this movement, this activity, and the reason, the nature of this desire, then only can you return to what you are. Unless you are firm about it, you will not understand. You have come here and you are sitting here, but this doesn't mean that you are expected to sit here for 24 hours continuously for days and days. You have come here for a short while, then you will go. Again you will come. Like that, this body is a place for dwelling for a short while. Having stabilized in the Absolute, the distinction is clearly made of beingness and prior to beingness. In the old days, it says in the Upanishads, any disciple had to stick close to the guru for 1 year without opening his mouth, and only then he could ask questions. When he sits in close proximity to a guru, the capacity of his beingness to receive this teaching becomes mature. His capacity to understand increases. It arises within him. It does not come from outside him. You must come to a firm decision. You must forget the thought that you are a body and be only the knowledge I am, which has no form, no name. Just be. When you stabilize in that beingness, it will give you all the knowledge and all the secrets to you. And when the secrets are given to you, you transcend the beingness, and you, the Absolute, will know that you are also not the consciousness. Having gained all this knowledge, having understood what is what, a kind of quietude prevails, a tranquility. Beingness is transcended, but beingness is available. What is that state? It is something like a deer taking rest in the shadow of a tree. The color of the shadow is neither light nor dark. This is the borderland. Neither jet black nor very bright. Halfway between them. That is that shadow. Deep blue like clouds. That is that state. That is also the grace of the Satguru. Everything is flowing out of that state. But this principle does not claim anything, is not involved in anything that is coming out of it. But this beingness is available. That deep, dark blue state, the grace of the Satguru, this is the state of the jnani. This is a very, very rare natural samadhi state, the most natural state, the highest state. You must have a firm conviction about this. Once the decision is taken, there is no moving away from it. The fruition of your spirituality is to fully understand your own true nature, to stabilize in your true identity. One must have patience, the capacity to wait and see. The darkness that you see when you close your eyes, that is the shadow of the Guru's grace. Don't forget it. Always keep it in mind. Take rest in the shadow of the Guru's grace. Whenever you remember the words of the Guru, you are in the shade of the Guru's grace. Ultimately, everything merges into the self. You may come across great difficulties, but your courage and stability in the self should be firm.